Welcome back to the end of the Imagine AI Live conference, and I'm so happy to have my final interview with Alex Volkov. Alex Volkov. Alex, how are you doing?
Dude, it's incredible. Energy in this conference is quite something.
Yeah,
doing
definitely.
Very, very good at the end.
Well, I think you kick up the energy level here quite a bit, and you started off the pop-up podcast with a live stream, with the show that you do every week, ThursdAI.
ThursdAI, one word, yes.
ThursdAI.
Yeah. ThursdAI. It's hard to pronounce. It's even harder to Google, but once you get it, you get it.
Yeah, so Alex, tell me about, how you came to start your podcast and when you started it, and more about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with a company called Weights and Biases, and as part of my job, I do a weekly podcast called ThursdAI. ThursdAI, we feature the last week's news in AI, and we go through LLMs, big companies and APIs, voice and video, audio, like agents. We do pretty much everything that happens in AI. As you may imagine AI right here. The content grows and grows.
There's a lot. Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff to cover as well. So I'm not doing it alone. I'm the main host. I have co-hosts that I've picked up along the way, and most of them are experts in different fields as well.
It's a really cool formula where you do it live and then you cut it down and release it later. Yeah. And I think that adds a very strong sense of community to it. And
that's how it actually started. The podcast itself didn't start as a podcast. I didn't set out to say, hey, I'm going to release episodes. Mm-hmm. I started on Twitter Spaces, and we just started chatting with folks about AI. And I just quickly noticed that I'm decent at managing the conversation so that one person won't talk for a longer time and another one won't talk at all. And so slowly people started coalescing to my spaces when we talked about AI. And then by then I started building up a narrative around, okay, we're going to talk about big companies first. Then we're going to talk about open source. We love open source. And then kind of slowly I made segments in the podcast. Mm-hmm. And then because it was only live, people actually told me, hey, Alex, I can't tune in live because you're doing this at different times of the day. Could you put it on a podcast platform, please? I really didn't want to do it for the longest time. I didn't like my voice for the longest time.
I
was afraid of the amount of work it requires. And I think I was rightfully afraid because after doing this for 2 years and over 110 episodes now, naming it ThursdAI was likely not the best idea. Attaching a podcast to a specific date of the week, probably not the best idea.
That consistency, though, a lot of people love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why it succeeded so much and why there's a community that loves tuning in every week live.
So tell me about the company behind, that you're working for and what you do there.
Yeah, Weights and Biases is the AI developer platform that most big companies that build LLMs use to monitor their experiment tracking. So if you think about OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, many big companies, they have machine learning engineers. They do a lot of training, a lot of different training, pre-training, post-training, reinforcement learning, a bunch of machine learning stuff. And all of that training, before Weights and Biases came over 6 years ago, was done in spreadsheets. And sending spreadsheets back and forth, it was a whole mess. Weights and Biases came with a unified platform that you can share with friends. And since then, Weights and Biases is one of those winner in a category things. There's competitors, but Weights and Biases is basically de facto the tool to build AI. And so for the, let's say, recent year, Weights and Biases also went into the field of LLM observability. So for non-machine learning engineers, for developers, they went into a tool that will allow developers to see what's going on with the LLM on production. And so this was a little bit part of my talk as well, of how to do evaluation and make sure that a company tracks everything that happens with LLM on production. And the product is called Weave, and I am kind of the developer evangelist, if you will, for the Weave product as well, as my background is software engineering and AI engineering.
Okay, software engineering, AI engineering. That's fascinating. I was out here doing pop-up podcasts. I missed your presentation. What's your origin story? If you had to give your origin story before you became an AI engineer, a programmer, how would you describe your origin story?
That's a very interesting question. So super brief, I would say. I was born in Ukraine, in the Soviet Union, and then I moved to Israel when I was around 10. And so I very quickly had to adapt and figure out how to survive within a new set of people, which probably helped me develop a few of the communication skills that I have in order to do what I'm doing right now. And then I worked at a startup, at multiple startups in Israel, then one of them moved me over to San Francisco. So I had the taste of the San Francisco startup scene. And I was an engineering manager. That startup eventually is still around, actually. Shout out Foundbox. And at some point, I moved away from San Francisco when I had a kid. While I was moving away, when I was living in Denver, I'm still living in Denver, I started learning about AI. First from Stable Diffusion, then from Whisper that came out from OpenAI. I built a startup around this, and I quickly noticed that I don't have people face-to-face to talk to about the stuff that I'm learning. I'm really thriving in an environment where I can tell you excitedly, and you notice my excitement as well, like when yo, Chris, do you know that thing that just came out? And this is how I operate. And then I quickly noticed that I don't have the opportunity to do this on, with friends that sit near me, and it really bothered me. And so I started doing this online. And so we're going online and kind of like just chatting with folks on Twitter, mostly on Twitter, in Twitter Spaces. And when that's starting kicking off, I noticed I really like it. I really like organizing spaces for people to talk around. I realized that I enjoy moderating debates, for example, doing podcasts, etc. And this turned into a whole thing that I decided, hey, I will probably leave my software engineering career behind because this is something that draws me that I'd like to do. And then Weights and Biases picked me up first as a potential sponsor, like, hey, let's sponsor your podcast. And then at some point they're like, hey, you know what, why don't you and your podcast just come to Weights and Biases, you promote us, but also you continue doing this, which is a pretty sweet gig.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Amazing. What's your biggest fear about AI in our society in the future and where this is headed?
You know what, I don't deal in fear. One of the things that I do on the podcast on ThursdAI on purpose is positivity. Because I think that traditional media, for example, they look for click bites and sound bites and things like this.
You're ruining this clip, Alex.
If it bleeds, it leads, Chris. And I don't deal with negativity specifically because there's just so much doomerism that I set out to counter doomerism. So when you tune to ThursdAI, folks, what you'll get is a lot of excitement about the progress, a lot of excitement about even incremental features, but definitely the huge jumps. We celebrate everything. We're basically there to celebrate AI. When Weights and Biases called me and said, hey, Alex, you should come over, they also said, hey, come up with a title because they didn't have a place for a podcaster that does AI every week. And I came up with a title called AI Evangelist. And I go by AI Evangelism to this day. So I'm sorry, you won't get any fears about AI from me.
No, I love that. I mean, it's proactive thinking, being realistic about the space and seeing that it's coming and embracing it and getting prepared and using it and learning every day. It's certainly a very exciting field. Well, Alex, you saw my presentation this morning. What questions do you have for me or for maybe Imagine AI Live at large?
I think by way of feedback, I will just say, Imagine AI Live is a unique conference out of the conferences that I had the chance to go to, specifically because some of the folks that I had the chance to chat with from the audience, and also when Steve kind of reached out to me and said, hey, here's kind of the makeup of our audience, those are folks who are discovering AI. Those are folks who may use ChatGPT, but maybe haven't used Anthropic's Claude or xAI's Grok, etc. And so, for me, tracking everything very closely week to week, interacting with folks like this that may have fears about AI is actually gold. Because when I do AI evangelism, my purpose is bridging those people to this technology. And many people fear AI just because they don't know the capabilities and they are afraid of what's going on. And also, my talk was the topic of my talk was trust, and the title was Trust but Verify, and it was applied towards AI both as a user but also as enterprises as well. And so I really enjoyed that presentation. From your presentation, I took something to as well. So my presentation started with, I have a friend, and I meet up with a friend, and when I tell him about AI excitedly, he always replies with, it's not there yet. And I remember you specifically queuing me up with, you said, AI is not there yet. I was like, I need to clip that into my talk as well.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, that was great. And I also used VO3, and I think you showcased some VO3 stuff as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Alex, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience? I know you recorded live here at the Imagine AI Live.
Yeah.
Has that come out yet?
Yeah. So everything we do is going out live on ThursdAI.news and on my socials at Alex Volkov, at Ultra and everywhere, but Alex Volkov will probably put folks on my socials as well. everything then goes to YouTube, and I edit and put it on the podcast on ThursdAI.news as well. So yeah, everything that we recorded, I was sitting where you sit with this amazing background that you have, and this was like one of the top production-wise episodes, because like the podcast setup here is great. So shout out to the folks who set it up.
Yeah,
Steve Media, I believe. You guys should look him up. And yeah, I really enjoyed the conference overall. It's like very, very high quality, high touch experience.
No, thank you so much for being an addition to our second year here, and you definitely have amped up the energy and a strong presence here. So thank you, Alex, and I look forward. I'm going to be checking out your podcast as well. It sounds great what you're doing there.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's one small step for man.